What's up, America? I'm Danny T. Welcome to the show. Well, I've been away from the desk the past couple weeks, and the numbers showed that you guys did not like me just doing audio, no video. I thought I was doing you a favor by not being here, but uh, I won't do that again. I promise. Well, this past weekend it was America's birthday, 250 years. 250 years ago, some rebels got together and they kicked the living shit out of some redcoats and started the greatest country the world's ever seen. It's the United States of America. Uh, Anyone here should be proud to be here. I think the 4th of July is a one time, whether you're a Democrat or Republican or whatever your views are, we should all get together and be happy that we're here. People burning the flag and talking shit about our country and just the hatred we hear. As much as I don't like that, you have every right to do that here in America. You can't do that other places. Other places, you'd be executed, put in prison for talking crap about the president or your country. If you burned a flag, a lot of people don't know. I mean, the United States is the only real place where we have freedom of speech, freedom to express yourself. I mean, other places claim to, like the UK and Canada, but I mean, we see how that goes with people getting arrested for speaking their minds, saying things that the government doesn't agree with. That's not really freedom of speech, in my opinion. We do live in the greatest place right here, which is why people that hate this country won't leave it. They'll stay here and keep bitching about it, and everyone else in the world keeps trying to come here legally or illegally. There's not people trying to flood into Mexico or Australia or any of these other countries out there. It's the United States. There's a reason for it. Uh, it's crazy, and the amount of rhinos and things we have here. Uh, it just makes me sick. It really sucks that people don't realize how amazing it is here. I've said this plenty of times. I come from a family of immigrants. They came here legally. Uh, there's no doubt in my mind my life would be completely different if I was born somewhere else. I'm not an anchor baby. I don't want to sound that way. My parents came here. They were already citizens before I was around. They didn't do the birth tourism that we're seeing now. You know, some random hooker from another country can come here and give birth to some kid and he's automatically a citizen. I don't think that's what we should be doing. It's not right. It's terrible. It's a terrible policy we have. Um, the Supreme Court did not rule in our favor when it came to that, and I'm very disappointed in that. I'm sure a lot of you out there are. Um, yeah, it just sucks that we have so many rhinos and people in place that are supposed to represent the Republican Party, and they just don't. Some of the people, uh, you know, here in Ohio, especially, John Kasich is coming back. He's a former governor of Ohio. Uh, he's been talking crap about the temporary protection status being pulled for some of these the Haitians, like we talked about last week. Now John Kasich said it's crazy to return Haitians to the conditions that they have over there. I don't think the Haitian conditions are going to change. He's urging Congress to take action to flip this over. I I don't think that's the right thing to do. These people are not citizens. They may have been here for a long time. They've overstayed their welcome, getting extensions and things like that, but these are not American citizens. They are Haitians. They belong to Haiti, and sending them back is what we need to be doing right now. John, I'm sorry. On top of uh, former Governor Cusack, we have Mike DeWine, who's just as bad, in my opinion. Now he's claiming that it's not in the best interest for us to be sending these Haitians back because they do the jobs no one else wants to do. We've heard that a lot throughout history. It's never a good thing to be that person that's doing those jobs that no one else wants to do. It's not a compliment, I mean, that's how they talked about slaves. I- it's just not a reason to keep people here. There's plenty of people in Ohio and in America that would do these jobs, whether it's fast food or factory work or whatever. there's plenty of Americans that need this work instead of uh, we can't even call them immigrants. They're here on a temporary protection status, uh, which was supposed to be over a very long time ago. It's just insane to me. On top of that, you know, Gwine is claiming that Haiti is unsafe because of gang violence and instability. I don't think there's ever been a time that there wasn't gang violence or instability in Haiti. They weren't over here on temporary protection because of the violence. Uh, they're Haitians; they'll be fine. It's what they're used to. Trust me. Um, in Springfield, Ohio alone, there's 20% of the population is Haitians. They're having, anchor babies, getting themselves stuck here. They have jobs, mortgages, all this. A lot of people are using that as a reason why they should stay. The jobs, the mortgages, they're intertwining in our culture. Uh, that's all the more reason to ship them back. As I said, these aren't immigrants. They were here on temporary protection status. The status is pulled, effective immediately. They're not employable. They're going to be unemployed. They're not allowed to be hired, and you know, effective immediately. Also, it's immediate deportations. Whenever they feel like sending them back, they're going to get sent back. I totally agree with this. Using the Haiti itself as a reason not to send them back is insane. That's their country. That's what they did over there. A lot of these immigrants come here, they try and keep the same policies that they ran away from, and they try and turn the United States into what they ran away from. We see this a lot. On top of the replacement theory. I don't even want to call it theory anymore. I mean, we see a rise in Islam and all that here in the United States. It's not a slow growing number. There is replacement going on, whether they want to call it that or not. They have these immigrants come here and have lots of babies while they, tell you to get abortions and not have families and think about yourself and not family and future and things like that. And I think that's pretty crazy to say that the replacement theory isn't real when we see it happening. We see the numbers popping up. We see the growth in population of immigrants, and Americans aren't uh, producing the same amount of family members that these immigrants are. So we're naturally going to get replaced by letting people like this in. Um, I just think it's wild. On top of the corruption we see that comes from these third world places, in Minnesota, the fraud, we've talked about that a lot. It's all Somali, gangs. That's what they are. It's a gang mentality, the tribal mentality, and they come in here and they're corrupt and they steal from us. There should be more of an outrage over that. It's just crazy to me how all this is going on, and it's getting ignored, and our politicians are covering for these people. As I've said, they're not citizens. There's no they can apply all they want and go through the process and come back as citizens if they get accepted and to be Americans. But as of right now, these people are just here temporarily. There's no reason for the outrage. Uh, Sending them back to a shithole country that they came from. That's their shithole country. There's nothing we can do about that. Uh, the only way Haiti's going to change is if Haiti changes. You got to change your government up, be more like the United States. All these people that want to come here, turn your countries into what this is, and you won't have to come here illegally. You won't have to overstay your welcome on temporary protection statuses. It's just wild to me. It's crazy. Um, but again, I definitely don't agree with these RINOs. These are not Republicans, in my opinion. They're siding with Dems on things like this. We all know that the Dems want the illegals here because they're voting. On top of this, proof of this is ICE is using Medicare applications and things like that to go after illegals now. We were told that illegals can't be put on Medicare, and it's not happening, and yet they're finding names, and now there's an outrage that they're doing that. Well, we were told that it's not even happening. Uh, Same with the voting. Once the Save Act gets passed, I'm very confident it will get passed eventually. Uh, the only thing holding the SAVE Act back is corrupt government politicians right now. I believe it's like 80% of Americans want this passed, whether you're Democrat, Republican, black, white, Hispanic, immigrant, whatever. People don't want illegals here. They don't want them voting for Americans. You're not an American. It's just wild to me. Just all the lies that we're being told. On top of that, if 80% of Americans want something pushed, it should get pushed. These politicians need to back down and listen to us because it's our voice. We're the American people. It's we the people, not we the politicians. It's just wild to me that the SAVE Act is being held up as much as it is. Let me know how you feel about that. It's just insane to me how all this is going on. The lies, the bullshit, it doesn't stop. We have people like Mamdani, they're coming in and trying to push Islam while pushing that they're democratic socialists. That's how they're getting these votes. These lazy people want free things, lazy Democrats, and that's how you get them, and that's how you sneak in the Islam and the Sharia law and the oppression. I mean, you want to talk about fascism and oppression. I mean, I believe over 10,000 protesters have been killed in Iran for just protesting the regime. That's oppression. That's what democratic socialists are fighting to protect by, free Palestine chants and it's just wild to me how this all is going on still in 2026. We all have the internet. We all have all the knowledge we want in our fingertips, and yet people still believe the lies and bullshit instead of researching on their own. It's just wild to me. Um, but getting back to Ohio, after the rhinos and all that, I don't know how many people out there have heard of the 16 children that were rescued. Uh, just pretty insane. Uh, 16 children ranging from 18 months to 18 years old were rescued in Vinton County. The house was filled with filth, infested with pests, roaches, mice, human feces all over the ground. Just insane. Authorities say another 24 hours and several of the kids could have been dead by the time they got there. Seven of the kids were rushed to hospitals. Two of the children were airlifted to level one trauma centers. Um, these kids were kept in 12-foot by 12-foot rooms. I'm sorry, one room, not rooms. They were kept in one room that was 12 feet by 12 feet. Just disgusting. Uh, the kids seemed feral, is what authorities were saying. The oldest couldn't even write her own name. Some of the kids couldn't speak. Uh, there's no records of these children anywhere. They were never enrolled in school. No doctor visits, no social security, no birth certificates. Just insane how this is all going on. Uh, One of the good things was this wasn't like a sex trafficking thing, which it's pretty sad that it's something I look for when these things happen with all the shit going on. So it wasn't that; it was just I guess normal neglect, normal abuse, if you want to call it that. The four people involved were Gary L. Siders, his son with the same name, but he's a junior. Then Christina Siders and Elizabeth Siders. Now, they all pled not guilty on July 1st. They're looking at a $300,000 bond and no contact order with the kids. I just think it's just insane how this was going on. Now, they ended up in Vinton for the past 4 years where the kids were kept in that room. I don't know too much about the past. I know they traveled around several different counties in Ohio. It's just crazy. There's talks that uh, maybe the wife uh, was involved in some sort of abuse where she was trapped there. I don't know too much about it. There's not a whole lot going on yet about this. Uh, it's just wild that this was going on under the radar. It's wild that people like Mike DeWine in Ohio are concerned with Haitians, yet crimes like this go on. Uh, I'm sure there's more crimes like this going on in Ohio. I used to be proud to be from Ohio. It's a red state. it's completely run by rhinos. The older I get, the more I research into this stuff. When I was a kid, I loved Ohio, being in a red state, but it's far from a red state. It's a purple state. That's just rhinos all over the place. Uh, the pandering is what gets me. Right now we have Vivek Ramaswamy on the ticket. I don't necessarily agree with everything Ramaswamy is about. Definitely not his immigration policy. I think he's a little too soft on that. Um, but I do think Vivek Ramaswamy would make this a lot redder of a state, and maybe kickstart push us in the direction that we need to be here in Ohio. It's just insane. It's insane that things like this happen, these crimes. It's insane that DeWine is just washing the balls of Democrats all the time. COVID really turned me on to how much of a piece of shit DeWine was with masking up, totally bending to the will of Joe Biden, seeing our governor wearing a mask, uh, shutting down Ohio for so long. It was just wild. The state sucks, in my opinion. Right now, I have hope for it with the future. If Ramaswamy doesn't win and we get action, I don't like any action at all. I'm hoping Ramaswamy gets it. I'm not for pushing politicians that aren't presidents, but you know what? I need a change here in Ohio. If you're out there in Ohio, let me know your thoughts on DeWine, your horror stories with the man. Uh, yeah, I just think it's crap that all this was going on. But on a plus side, moving on of this to a different child abuser, I guess, supporter of child abuse, Scott Wiener made the news while he was getting yelled at by trans people for his stance on Gaza. They were turning his back on him. Now Scott Wiener is on the front line for trans rights and supporting these weirdos and mental cases. Uh, it was just wild seeing people walking down the street screaming at him for his support of Israel. I mean, the man is a Jewish man. Uh, it's just wild. It made my day seeing that. Scott Wiener, he has been known for his I don't know how to put this, covering for predators. You don't have to register as a sex offender. People don't need to know uh, that they were diddling little kids just because they were gay or trans or whatever, trying to protect these people instead of protecting the victims. It's also something we've been seeing in the UK. We've talked about that a few times where the victims get in trouble rather than the assailant because the victim was white and the assailant wasn't. It's just crazy how we're seeing these same policies here. I talk about the UK a lot. We're almost looking into our future with what's going on there if we don't change up what's going on out here. And seeing these lunatics turn their back on one of their biggest supporters just shows how crazy and unstable this all is. Anything can happen with these nutcases. Uh, but that's all I got for you this week. If you like things I talk about America, give my channel a subscribe. Follow me on Rumble. It's where I like to be. If you want more of my political views crammed down your throat, follow the Republican Rebuttal podcast on Facebook now. Um, that's all I got for you, America.